I'm so tired of Mize and their pathological need to drag other groups every time aespa breathes. Like, can your faves exist for 5 minutes without you using them as weapons against other artists? The mental gymnastics you people perform to turn every minor aespa moment into an opportunity to attack hive groups, especially the Sserafim, is honestly embarrassing. Apparently, according to some fans, aespa's Jennifer Hudson performance was this massive redemption arc that completely erases their GMA disaster, and they're now using it to throw shade at the Sserafim for, get this, crying in their documentary. Let's be real about this so-called improvement between the GMA and Jennifer Hudson performances. What actually changed? They had backup dancers this time, the camera work was slightly better, and the stage looked a bit more polished. That's it. The actual performance, the singing, the energy, the stage presence was fundamentally the same. The members still looked disconnected, the choreography was still underwhelming, and let's not pretend like the vocal delivery was suddenly groundbreaking. But Mize are acting like this was some massive comeback moment that proves all the haters wrong. Honey, no. Going from a 2 out of 10 performance to a 4 out of 10 isn't the slay you think it is. It's the bare minimum improvement you'd expect when a multi-million-dollar company actually invests some resources into a stage instead of throwing their artists out there with zero support. Calling this a redemption is like celebrating because you finally put on pants after being naked in public. It's not an achievement. It's what you should have been doing all along. The desperation behind this narrative is transparent. Mize know the GMA performance damaged aespa's reputation, so they're clinging to any slight improvement as proof of their fave's superiority. But real growth doesn't happen overnight, and pretending that better production values equal better artistry is the kind of cope only the most delusional fans could muster. What's truly disgusting is how they have weaponized this non-achievement to attack the Sserafim for being vulnerable in their documentary. For days, my timeline has been flooded with Mize having full-blown meltdowns over the GMA criticism, composing novel-length threads about how aespa are victims of unfair treatment. Yet these same fans have the audacity to mock Les Sserafim for showing human emotion about the pressures of their career. Since when did showing vulnerability become a weakness? Since when did being open about the immense pressure of this industry become something to mock? Let Sserafim's documentary showed the real cost of being an idol, the exhaustion, the self-doubt, the moments where the pressure becomes overwhelming. That's not crying for sympathy. That's being honest about the reality of this industry. Meanwhile, aespa having a slightly less messy performance because their company finally gave them adequate support isn't some profound statement about strength. It's just doing their job with the proper resources. These two things aren't comparable, and trying to pit them against each other shows a complete lack of empathy and understanding. The whole aespa doesn't cry, they prove haters wrong. Narrative is one of the most toxic things I've seen in K-pop fandom lately. Since when did suppressing normal human emotions become something to celebrate? Since when did performing adequacy after a failure become more admirable than being open about struggle? This is the same toxic mentality that tells women they can't show vulnerability, that they have to be strong and perfect at all times. It's the same pressure that leads to idols suffering in silence until they break. Celebrating your faves for not crying while mocking another group for being human is not the flex you think it is. It's just sad. What's especially ironic is that this narrative is coming from fans who will write paragraphs and mass tweet at the slightest criticism of their faves. The projection is incredible. Fans who spend hours being emotional online are celebrating their idols for not showing emotion. The lack of self-awareness is staggering. You know what really gets me about aespa fans sometimes? The way they cannot just enjoy a win without dragging another group into it. Like the compulsive need to shade Les Sserafim every single time aespa does something decent. It honestly just screams insecurity. Because if you're actually confident in your faves and what they bring to the table, you don't need to pull other groups down to make them shine. The work should speak for itself, but with aespa, the fandom knows deep down that the performances have been shaky, so instead of holding them accountable or just saying, okay, they did better this time, they spin the narrative into some unnecessary competition. And that's what really annoys me. If aespa's live skills were as flawless as Mize keep claiming, there would be no need to constantly compare them to Les Sserafim. But it's like, instead of facing the fact that live stages haven't exactly been their strong suit, they'll go out of their way to make Les Sserafim look weaker just to distract people. Meanwhile, Les Sserafim has been out there consistently putting out solid performances, even with their struggles. And the documentary literally showed the pressure and emotional toll of that. Mize act like crying in a documentary is weakness, when really it shows honesty and hard work. What's wild is how obvious all of this is to people outside the fandom. Like, everyone can see that this comparison game isn't about aespa actually surpassing anyone. It's about the fans desperately trying to protect their egos because they know their girls haven't been living up to the hype. And instead of saying, yeah, they need to improve, they lower the bar, pretend bare minimum progress is a huge achievement, and then attack groups who actually do deliver. It's embarrassing, and honestly, it makes aespa look worse because the fandom is louder about shading others than they are about supporting their group's actual growth. Mize's behavior is making K-pop spaces unbearable for everyone. Yes, I said it. It's time to grow up and learn how to support your faves without tearing down others. Until Mize can praise aespa without using it as an excuse to attack other groups, they'll remain one of the most toxic, embarrassing fandoms in K-pop. The ball is in your court. Do better or stop wondering why everyone finds your fandom insufferable.